Right, this is the launch of the Leicestershire Children's Book Prize held at Loughborough Library, and children from Loughborough Chatterbooks Group, Shepshed Chatterbooks Group and the Loughborough Arc Reading Group all met together to talk about the books on the long list that they really liked and would recommend to others to vote for and nominate for the Children's Book Prize. There's a long list of 25 titles, and children have until the 13th of December to vote for their 3 favourite off the list, and then a short list of the 6 most popular titles will be drawn up, and that will be available in January, so that children then have the opportunity to vote for their favourite book, which will win the Leicestershire Children's Book Prize.
Thing by Chris Powling, and it was really good. It's a really easy and quick read, and it's really scary as well. It's like one of the scariest books I've ever read, and it's really good if you're like just getting into reading and you want to read a scary book. So yeah.
This is Point Blank. It's one of the Alex Rider's books, but it's in comic. It's in comic version. It's got lots of action in it. It's only short, so it's really good.
There's this book called Spy Dog Unleashed, and I think it's really good if you like secret agency stuff. And it follows on from the first one, even though it's the third one, because there's this person called Mr. Big who escaped from jail. He's out to get Spy Dog after he stopped him before.
I read Atmosphere graphic novel by Owen Colfer, and it was just great because it's funny and it's a bit of an action adventure, and it's a lot different from reading the other one because it's easy to get a picture in your head.
Tides of Terror by Justin Somber, and it's about the adventures of these 2 twins, Grace and Connor Tempest, and crews of pirate and vampire ships.
At the moment I'm reading Kathy Casey's Sunday Girl, and it's a really good book. And Jude's family are crazy. Her mum brings her plenty of problems, and her dad thinks he's Elvis. Nothing seems to go Jude's way until she realises the floppy-haired boy from school could be her knight on shining rollerblades, and that sometimes when everything turns sour, only something sweet can make it okay.
I read this book called Jackie Daydream by Jacqueline Wilson. It's an autobiography of her childhood, and it was very revealing, so I'm sure a few of you have probably read books by Jacqueline Wilson, but none of you know about her childhood. I think, although it may look a sick book, it's very interesting. You get into it and can read it quite quickly.
This is about a boy called Zach, who hasn't got a dad and he's looking for one, and it's a very short and easy read book, and I would recommend it, and it's very funny in places as well.
I read The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, and I thought it was a really excellent book. It was really well written and I'd highly recommend it, but it can be like quite harrowing in places, so I wouldn't recommend it for very young children.
I've got this at home, but I haven't read it yet, so after the recommending that I've heard, I really wanted to read it because it's been listed for the Leicestershire Children's Book Prize, and I've heard that it's really good, so I'm going to try and read it.
I read Doubting Thomas by Maurice Gleitzman. It was a really good book, and it was really funny because Thomas had itchy nipples and he's very embarrassed about them. It's a great book, and if you want, it's a great book if you want a giggle at night.
This is a book that I've read. It's called Sunday Girl by Kathy, and it's about a girl's family who are crazy, and she has like a really bad life that's always like got problems.
I read this book called Hot House Flower by Rose Impey, and it's about a girl called Chloe Wells who doesn't have any friends, or actually she doesn't have any because she's homeschooled. Then one day she ran out in front of a bus and she got ran over, and then when she's in hospital, like really troubled on her own, she starts to wonder why she's been protected so much and tried to be made perfect, and she starts to think that she's being brought up just like a hothouse flower.
Jude's family are crazy, quirky and bizarre. Her mum's always bringing her problems and her dad thinks he's Elvis, but all she really wants is a hassle-free life, but it's not really that easy. And it's really funny in places and I really liked it. It's one of my favourite books.
I read Born to Run by Michael McVergo, and it's about an incredible dog that solves a problem because somebody goes missing, and it's really good. Also, it has some twists in it because at the end something happens and you'll have to read it to find out.
I read Spiders Unleashed by Andrew Cope. It was a brilliant book and you couldn't put it down. If you like spy missions, you'll love it. It was the first book I read of these series, and I've read the first and second one so far, and I really want to read the fourth one. I actually got to meet Andrew Cope himself and Lara. You must read this book for an action-packed story. I give this book 3 out of 3.
Unsuitable for adults, may contain body parts. Virgil collects tins. He likes the bargain ones without labels. The contents are always a nice or nasty surprise. Then Virgil finds a finger inside one tin and the word help inside another. And what was just a screwball hobby becomes a deadly can of worms.